The Grain Belt, Australia, 2011. After years of drought, farmers finally have a good harvest. But with it comes a big problem.
Look, folks, this is symbolic.
If it is symbolic, it isn't the first time it's happened. In a similar plague during World War I, farmers killed millions of mice, while millions more ran amok. And in 1993, there was this. Hordes and hordes of mice appeared, eating their way through field after field. And when they finished eating the crops in the fields, they attacked barns and bins. As farmer Ann Venning remembers,
these mice just poured out. I thought, when is this going to end, you know? But they just kept pouring out. I'm thinking, well, you only see this in the movies. Oh, they're in my food!
They were even going after farm animals, eating them alive.
The pigs were just going berserk. The mice were all over them, chewing away, and the pigs just took it all. I had a hole the size of my thumbnail eaten out of my leg.
Pretty soon, they were showing up everywhere. And as long as they were eating, they were breeding at stunning rates. A female mouse can have up to 10 litters a year, nearly one a month. But why is Australia hit by these plagues?
I guess the reason why we have mouse plagues in Australia compared to other areas like Europe or America or some other place is that house mice in Australia are introduced.
Brought from Europe on ships hundreds of years ago. Problem is, once the mice got here, they had it easy.
It's an environment where there are few native competitors for mice. So there's not much competition for food resources or for shelter or anything like that.
Now, consider the conditions during the years of the plagues. Yielding abundant harvests, translated into massive amounts of food for mice. That's why 1993 looked like the end of the world. The solution? Strychnine-laced grain.
We were actually collecting 30,000 mice a day.
2011 marked the end of a long drought. Australia has a severe drought somewhere in the country on the average of once every 18 years, which triggers a logical cycle that winds up looking like the end of days. But if history is any indicator, this plague, like the ones that came before, will end badly for man and mouse. July 2005, Geva's, Turkey. A herd of 1,500 sheep are having breakfast, when suddenly, they all make a move, and they head straight for a rocky, deadly cliff. 450 sheep are dead, which really upset the shepherd. But the bodies of the dead sheep cushion the fall for the remaining 1,000 or so that survived. So what happened? The answer lies somewhere here. Mara River, Kenya. Over 1 million wildebeest are on their annual 1,000-mile migration. It's a journey that's fairly routine.
You can see highways through the grassland where one army after another is coming along and going more or less to the same spot.
But today, locals discover the unthinkable. As many as 10,000 lie dead in the water.
They were drowned, and nobody could figure out why.
What could have gone wrong?
When they're coming to a river crossing, they're certainly going to look for easier places to cross.
Sure, you can expect some to be lost in the cycle of life. But why did this happen? Park officials notice a path cut through the thicket and realize that something may have diverted them from their usual route. But what kind of obstacle could possibly shift the wildebeest away from their normal crossing? The eco-tourist, maybe? After all, these banks have seen as many as 150 vehicles at one wildebeest crossing site. So, if you've got this in your way, you might wind up in a place downriver that's not so safe. Now imagine that the herd is all crowded together at the edge of the river.
Who wants to be the first one to take the plunge? And the wildebeest says, okay, you go. No, you go. No, you go. I'm not going to go. And so you get a bigger and bigger buildup until finally some poor fool plunges in. Once it starts, then it has a momentum of its own.
One makes a bad decision. They all make a bad decision.
It's a blind following. And there are some that will turn around and try to come back. But there are others still coming, and you can't make it.
Before you know it, the herd pushes forward like a wild mob. And we all know how those things go. It looks like this. And this. The same herd mentality takes over. And you wind up with a pile of dead sheep. In 2004, Queen Elizabeth National Park, Uganda. A perfect place to watch herds of hippos bathing and grazing in their natural habitat. But lately, they're turning up dead.
Why the consistency in mortalities and why these numbers?
It felt like a mystery.
With few clues, park officials become more than a little concerned.
So many hippos dying, and the whole population was getting agitated, wondering what was happening.
Guys with gloves show up to dig for answers. They suspect poachers. It's a common belief that if a woman eats the meat of a hippo, she will become fertile. But no one is eating these animals. And poachers would have taken the teeth. Epidemiologist Dr. Risto Heinonen makes a startling observation. He suspects a mysterious sickness is killing the hippos.
These are criteria which fit very well to anthrax.
But what's the source? While tissue samples are sent to a lab in Germany, the deadly disease shows up in other species. And finding where the anthrax came from is now a race against time. The bacteria responsible for anthrax lives in the soil all over Uganda.
We know that hippos graze so close to the ground, and during dry season, they even tend to take in a lot of soils.
But anthrax-contaminated areas are usually small and few in number.
You have to be unlucky as an animal to get infected by browsing in the wrong area. So that then causes perhaps 4 or 5 deaths, but not these big numbers like here.
Then, Dr. Leandertz notices something bizarre. A group of hippos very interested in hippo carcasses.
I got the suspicion that there may be some other profit from them being around the hippos, like eating the intestines which are expelled through the anus due to the pressure in the body.
We have never seen a hippo eating meat.
As disgusting as it sounds, it makes sense. Say you're a hippo. There's a lack of food on land. Then, all of a sudden, out pops a sausage filled with undigested grass.
The small intestines don't look like a steak, but still, it's meat, you know? Because they were still filled with pre-digested grass, and that's like a burger, and perfect, easy to eat, good for your health.
Except when the intestine you just ate belonged to a hippo who ate anthrax spores. Now he's got it. He dies, and someone eats him. By August 2005, there were 360 dead hippos. But here's the good news. Eventually, it all came to an end. The rainy season arrived, and there was more grass. And no need to eat intestines. In effect, nature solved the problem.
If I had anthrax and you would like to get it from me, you would have to basically eat me.